Hi, this is cybersecurity expert Reginald Andre, and today we are going to be talking about the top 4 ways to secure your Microsoft 365 account. Microsoft 365, when you think of Microsoft 365, what do you think about? Are you thinking about Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook? Well, in specifically today, I'm talking about the cloud services. I'm talking about SharePoint, OneDrive, your emails. This is one of the most popular cloud services. According to the Wall Street Journal, 56% of people use the Microsoft 365 cloud some way, somehow in their businesses. In fact, 1 in 5 corporate employees now use one of the Office 365 cloud services. So this is a very, very big target. Now, although hackers have very, very tough time getting into a Microsoft 365 account, because Microsoft does a lot to protect their systems. But as a business owner, there are steps that you can take to kind of like make it a little more stronger. So we're not going to talk too techy here. We're going to keep it very simple so that tomorrow you can now go into your Microsoft admin account and you can now play around and see if you find these settings. And if you are, just double check that the things that I'm going to be giving you advice on doesn't apply to you. Now, of course, if you have your own IT person or cybersecurity person, that should be the route that you go. But this video is made for the small business owner that just wants to be sure that their Microsoft 365 account is secure. So let's get started. First thing is your global administrator account. I can't tell you how many times I've seen scenarios where when an owner is setting up his Microsoft 365 email account, and because he has had an employee with him for X amount of time, he then makes that employee, the secretary, the office manager, or whatever the case is, a global administrator. Now, that global administrator is the most powerful login that is created with Microsoft. This person has access to billing, has access to delete and add users. They can do things like shared mailboxes where they can be able to see other emails from other accounts that's not theirs. So being a global administrator, you can do a lot of damage with that. So it's very important. The first thing that you want to do is you want to be sure you know who the global administrators are. So after you log into your portal.office.com account and you go to the admin section, you're going to then look on users. And then from there, you can then see, scroll over and you can see who's a global administrator. And if it's not an owner or an executive in the company, I would highly recommend that only the owners or top level have global administrator rights. Now, there's also another school of thoughts that says, you know what, the owner should not even have global administrators. And I would actually agree with that. When you log in to your account, you should not be logging in as a global administrator. That should be a separate account outside of your normal user account. And that way, if something, maybe you click on an email and now your email is compromised, you're going to be logging in as a standard user and not a global user. So in a sense, the hacker never gets access to that global administrator. So of course, with any of this, with the global administrator, you're going to want to turn on two-factor authentication. We've talked many times about the importance of having two-factor authentication, which is essentially another way to protect your account, because even if the hackers knows your passwords, they don't have your cell phone. And because they don't have your cell phone, when you try to log in, it's going to send a text message or put a code in front of the phone. And because the hacker doesn't have your cell phone, they're not going to be able to log in. The next thing is abuse of user privilege. And that's basically giving a user more permission than they need. So earlier I mentioned how only select people should have access to the Office 365 as an admin. And I mentioned that you could have executives on there. Well, if an executive never needs to do anything administratively on a Microsoft 365 account, why should they even have it? Even if they have shares in the company or whatever the case is, you should really, really limit who can access that. Because again, if a hacker gets into the system, hopefully they get into a system where the person is not an admin. And if the person is not an admin, then it's just less damage that a hacker can do. The next thing you're going to want to do is turn on mailbox auditing. And when you think of auditing, think of it where if you have an audit that's on, you can kind of see what happened and you can be also alerted if something is happening. So that way, if you have something which is like a mailbox forwarding, and that is essentially where you have a user and you can make it where anything that goes to this person, this employee in your business, can now be forwarded to any other email. Well, with mailbox forwarding and with auditing on, you actually will get an alert. And that's something that the hackers do. Now, when they break into an email system, they do forwarding because then they can now take those emails, forward it to another email, and then try to communicate that way. So it's very important that you have the auditing turned on. And that way, when there's anything suspicious in the account, maybe someone tries to go into share your share folder, your OneDrive or your SharePoint, and now they go and they delete a large number of files that normally isn't deleted. Well, when mailbox auditing, again, it's going to alert you. It's going to alert the global admin administrator to let them know something suspicious is going on here, and you may want to look at it. Lastly is the business email compromise, which we call BEC. And this is essentially how you can make sure that your business is not compromised. So you can make a rule in Microsoft 365 where it limits what an email address can receive, specifically a download folder. If you guys remember what a zip file is, well, maybe the person that's going to be in this particular department never receives zip files, never needs to get any type of attachments. You can actually make rules that it's going to filter that email so that way that person can never get attachments. Or more importantly, executable files, which is a way where viruses spread very, very fast. You can actually make it so that an email address cannot even accept an executable file. So with this BEC, there's many things you can do. And lastly, you want to do office message encryption. And office message encryption is a way to communicate internally and externally with other people via email. And what happens is if you have a message here, you need to send it to this person, it securely sends that information from point A to point B. So that way, if a hacker is here in the middle and is read or see that information, they're not going to be able to see it. And best analogy I can give with that is if you've ever communicated with your bank, and what they may do is they may send you an email, but what happens is when you need to read that email, you have to click on the link, log into your bank website, and that's how you see the message. And to be very, very basic in the technology, it's a very similar way, but it's a little more user-friendly the way Microsoft does it. So there you have it. These are the top 4 tips that you should do as a business owner to ensure that your Microsoft 365 account is good. Now, it's 2021, and these things that I'm mentioning have been around for the last 3 or 4 years, and I'm sure they're still going to be around. But as of today, May the 25th, this is something that you should implement. And again, if you don't have a technology expert by your side, this is the time that you would now get someone to help you with this, because yes, it will probably get a little technical and maybe you're not going to be able to navigate, but someone like that should be able to go in and help you and guide you to make sure that your Microsoft 365 is safe. Because again, 1 out of 5 employees are using 365, either for emails, OneDrive, SharePoint. So it's so important to make sure that the data stays safe and your company stays safe. All right, take care.